Hi, welcome everyone, and thank you for coming to today's introduction to data analysis, where we'll be talking about who is a data analyst, what is a data analyst, what skills do you need, who can be a data analyst, and what are the different aspects of being a data analyst. So we see that a data analyst is actually a ambiguous word. And so when you're searching for job, are you only going to be looking for a data analyst role or BI expert or BI specialist? We're going to be talking about that today, and what are the difference or what's differentiates these types of fields in a data analysis field. And at the end of the presentation, you can ask me any question and I'll be more than happy to answer. And also in the course of this presentation, I will show you some few things, some few tools that you can use as a data analyst as well. So let's continue. So my first question is, why data analysts? Why do we want to be a data analyst, and what's so important to us? Why data analyst job is so important now? I mean, in the last 10, 15 years, we're not really hearing about being a data analyst, but right now, everywhere we go, it's all about data. So these are just there's so many reasons why data analysts, and I've just put these 5 points. So data analysts have a great job opportunities. I will tell you this, after my first job, I get like different calls every day from recruiters. So this is one job that is growing exponentially. Yeah, more people are getting into it, but there is something after your first job, and I think after your second job, you really cannot be out of job for more than a month if you really want to have a job, to be honest, because there's so many companies, but whether small, medium, or large size company, they want a data analyst. Even financial companies who doesn't need a data analyst now, they hire data analysts to help them. And what they say now is data is the new oil. And it's true. Before we can put our data on a pen drive, now there's cloud in which the data are. So data is growing every day, and in different forms. So that's why this being a data analyst is a very lucrative job. And I would say it's a job that no one is going to regret going into it. And it also makes a good salary. You can start with a average salary, but after a year and a half, 2, depending on your own personal growth. So depending on if you decide to learn more skills on the way as you are moving on, there's nothing stopping you from getting 100, 200,000 a year, yes. Or if you want to be a freelance, like self-employed, you can do that paying a good day rate, depending on how much they're paying, from minimum of 400 upwards. So it's actually a very, very, very good job, and also a very good in salary wise. And it's very important in every business. This is what I said. So even small business now needs a data analyst. You see some some businesses have about 10, 15 data analysts. Some, even if they're small, they still need 1 or 2. So there is no companies that doesn't need a data analyst. So that is why this job will never, even though there's a lot of people coming into the market, it's not going to be saturated enough that no one cannot get a job. So that's why it's very lucrative as well. It's for every business. And you become a decision maker as you go. I've made some decision and I've find some insights, and you will see why, because you will be using data to look at trends. You'll be using data to predict. So you will use past data predict what, to make a prediction based on the past trend of data to your company, or maybe if you are a consultant to the company you're consulting to. So that's why you'll be a decision maker. It means that you'll be a very key factor. So if you don't get it right and you tell the business to go this way and it fails, then you you have not done well. So that's why I said it's a very important subject. And when you're starting to make decision, it will be very good that you understand this set of data that you are dealing with. And it's a great way to transfer your skills. So as you can see, Blue Sky is trying to transfer that we've passed through, and people that have passed through are using this, passing this to develop others. And I would say that there's no one who cannot be a data analyst, because my background was hospitality and I became a data analyst. So, and as I said, and I've worked in so many places now, and there's one thing I've noticed: no one has ever asked for my university degree. So I'm not using it. So no one will ask. They will just want to see your experience and what you can do. And probably they will give you a test along the interview line. And once they see that you can work with them, that's it. So you can be a data analyst without a degree. I'm not saying don't have a degree, but it's one of the perks. Like I worked, before I left the company, there were two guys that they employed just before I left. And one of them just finished from secondary school, actually, from secondary school. And he became a data apprenticeship. And after a few months, he became a full data analyst, because they trained him. And a guy who studied, I think, philosophy, he went into a boot camp for 6 months, and they hired him because because of the boot camp. So this more like a boot camp, like a training section that you have to train and to gain the skills that you need. So that's why it's very transferable. You don't need a uni or a professor to teach you how to write an SQL code, or how to work with Excel, or to make some beautiful visualization with any tool. So that's why it's a good way to develop and transfer your skill. So I try to find a very good definition for a data analyst. And I try to put so many things together, because you will see why I'm saying that. A data analyst is a profession who focuses on analyzing, because you're going to analyze data. That is your job. And problem solving. So I'm not just going to analyze that, oh, okay, your sales are going down, without giving my own input why that is happening. So you have to be a problem solving relates to the data. Then the type of data. So maybe some of us will work in NHS. It will be a bit different, because maybe you are looking at data for waiting time in A&E, or maybe you are doing a data analysis for oncology, like the cancer research, or any department, or you're working in the finance company, and then you're working with finance data. So that's the types of data and their relationship among the data elements. So what do we mean by that? So how do those data relate with, like when I work for a media company, how are those data, how are they related to the views that they're getting? So it was like a content media company, so they make content and people watch, and then they get revenue by that. So is it the number of people that are watching that makes the revenue and things like that? We need to look at those type of relationship, and it's either within a business system or an IT system. So sometimes you work for an IT, and we will tell you why. Like when you are data engineering, you have to build some pipelines, you have to do some data engineering works to put some data together for the business. So this is the summary of data analysis and definitions that I've got. So what type of data analysis do we have? We have a business insights. Who are those? We will know a bit later. Data mining. Who are the data mining people? It's the same thing like when you mine golds or coal or mineral resources. Then we have the data engineering. This is a bit more advanced for people who want to advance their knowledge on being a data analyst and visualization experts. Although we have these different types of data analysts, but you will see that they intertwine with each other. Because if you're a business insight, you need to know how to still mine data. Although you may not be doing it day in, day out, like a data miner, or you may not be building dashboard like a visualization expert, but you will do a few of them. As a visualization expert as well, you will do a bit of data mining, but your work will be mostly building of dashboards. I'll show you a bit of this very soon. So I'll start with business insight and intelligence. So this is what we call the BI. So there's so many tools for this BI. So we have like Excel, which is the first and foremost that most of us are very familiar with because it's been very popular. And we have like Power BI, Tableau, SQL, and more like that. So it comprise the strategy and technology used by enterprise for data analysis and management of business information. So we have like I've given like 6 examples. Like you can summarize your subject matter, like most important business intelligence examples, like improving decision making, uncovering fresh business insight. Like when you, for example, when you see trends and you see some outliners, and then you want to investigate, you want to actually do your research on why this a certain time you have a spike in or maybe very upward or downward, then you can know that you can find your insight into why that has happened, and then you can be boosting productivity. So you can be looking at your staff productivity. So you can be looking at, okay, is 9 to 5 very productive? What if we make it 9 to 4? Are we going to be more productive? Are we or for example, I think some studies was made for working 4 days a week in the Scandinavian, I think in Denmark, and they saw that it was more productive. So this is like the type of insight that you get when you make a study and you find it. And you increase sales by, if you know your customers, you want to know your customers, and maybe you want to see your weak customers and you want to know why they are not patronizing you, and you want to make some incentives. You can use a business insight to make a model. So that's part of your job. Or maybe it's you say particular age group or gender. For example, when I worked in a mobile company, like fiber optics company, we're looking at a young populated area to invest in because we believe that these young people, that was the insight we drew out, that young people want fast internet to play game, to be on the mobile, rather than going to like a town of where there are more age of 60 people who just watch TV. So those are the type of insight that you get as a business insight. And then the next one is data mining. So data mining is more like extracting information from a data warehouse or a database. For example, I'm going to show you briefly what you'll be doing later on if you decide to join the course fully. So this is like a data, ignore if you don't understand this, your tutor will help you understand. This is a SQL based product, MySQL, and this tons of data here. And imagine somebody said, I need the data on numbers of customer, like I want to find more about my customers, and you write a simple query. So this is what we call data mining. So these are the tools you'll be playing with. You just say, and then we can see this this output, and then you can either print it or you can visualize this result. This is what we call a data mining. You start to mine data. And if you want to go further, for example, you just want where um, your customer's name start with first name is Mary, let's say. So you just say where first name equals. I'm just telling you, this is how we mine data. So you can see with that big data, I've just got what I want. So this is what I want. So this is the tools they will be teaching you about. You'll be learning this in the course of being a data analyst, how to extract data, how to use this SQL syntax to extract data to bring out insight, and also how to use it for business decision. So data engineering is a bit more complex and it's a bit more advanced. So we will not be doing that in this course. It will be less for individual in their journey as a data analyst. If they, it's a very, very lucrative line of work with tons of good money and a lot of jobs, because actually there are few people in this data engineering. So this is where you build pipelines between being a data analyst and you build their data warehouse, you populate the data for them, you schedule how data are refreshed or increment the data as they're coming. So it's more like a DevOps. Maybe those in the DevOps is close to like DevOps. So you be the data infrastructure, database expert, like a Power BI developer, for example, is a data engineer. So you construct data product services and integrate them. So that's what you mostly do. And maybe you start as a data analyst and, oh, I don't really like to speak with people. This is a very good career. You are always going to be on your own. You'll only be talking to your colleagues, maybe in the sprint or in the stand-up meetings, but you will not be talking to stakeholders because your job will be mainly in the back-end area, coding and doing all this. So for people who don't want to have any interaction with stakeholders or officials, then this is a good line of work to develop into in the later stage. And a visualization expert. So we all know what visualization see. They say a picture speaks 1,000 words. Like, so for example, you've got a big data set. It has no meaning without a visualization if you don't make it in a visualized form. So that's why you will see there's so many tools now. There's Power BI. So the two main ones, I think, is you'll be learning Power BI as well in this course, how to build dashboards in Power BI. And also we have Tableau. And I'll quickly show you, this seems the most simpler of everything because it's more of a drag and drop form of technology. Although you need to know how to make beautiful dashboards and you need to understand it, and you need to know what type of visual to use. And I'll give an example as well that I've tried. Although you will not be using Tableau, you'll be using Power BI, but it's worked the same way. And I will show you something now. And I've got this data. Just for time's sake, I've already imported my data. And this is why Excel has a limited function when it comes to visualization. For example, I've put continent of Europe into a geography. And if I just drag it here, I'm just dragging it now. I've not done anything. And you're going to see it has given me a graph of Europe. So already this is like a company that has a market in all these countries that you can see in blue. And if I want to look at the sales, I will just drag the sales from here and put it in size. Then you're going to say, okay, then I can see that my sales in Germany is 488,681. In UK is this, and in France is the biggest. And if you want to go further, if you want to look at your sales is different, then you have to understand some financial terms as well. It's very important because then if you want to look at your profit margin, you can have a large sales, but it doesn't necessarily mean profit. They will be teaching you all that because you will be doing maybe DAX formula where you have to be writing some formula on the fly, like profit margin now. It says, because imagine I sell 200 pen and I sell 100 printers. Although my sales with pen is 200 or 300, or even if I sell 50 printers, I'm going to get more revenue as with printer. So sales is not really going to tell you much. I'm not going deep into this. I'm just telling you, if you put profit margin into color, they will teach you that. You can see that it has changed as well. You can see your profit margin. And this is just a quick visualization to see that within less than a minute, what you can bring out in a visualization. And it tells us a lot compared to the Excel, which we just, this is the Excel. You can see the country and you can see, but everyone would prefer because I don't know what I'm looking at now. I'm just saying some customer cities. I really can't tell what's going on. But with this visualization, you can see, okay, Germany is doing well. I think we need to invest more. And Austria is not really, or Sweden is not doing well. As you can see, it's minus. Okay, what's happening in Sweden? That's why you start to investigate. Is it that they don't like our product? Or is it because it's too cold? Is our product for Mediterranean weather? This is when you start to think like an analytic person. That, okay, what's going on here? How can we generate more profit with Sweden? Is there a way to attract more students and more customers? So that is what visualization is all about, and you can keep saying it. And why I say that you need to know which visual to use is very important as well. There's so many visuals I can use rather than map. If you say show me here, I can click on this. It's telling me the same thing, but I still don't understand what is happening here. It looks like a hand Germany, yes, a bit, but it's not really giving me the clear picture. Or this doesn't look really nice. So that's why I said it's good as a visualization expert to know, because no one is going to tell you what visual to use. It's your job to know which is the best to present and to articulate your result to the stakeholders. So I will leave that there. So as we say, specialized in translating complex data into a variety of usable visual format. As you can see, what I've just shown in Excel is just a bunch of columns and rows. But when it went to the Tableau, it shows me a very good visuals of, okay, where I'm performing in my sales and where I'm not performing. And I think there is no job right now that will not require you to have one of this knowledge. I mean, if you're a data analyst, you need to know about visual. Even if you are a BI, you need to know about visual. I think only data engineers are not allowed. I mean, although they have to connect to a Power BI or Tableau, but they don't necessarily build the dashboards. So, I think a slide is missing. I am very sorry for that. I thought I with it. So I'll come back to that. So I gave different type of tools that we need as a data analyst, from SQL to Python to Excel to SQL, different type of tools that we need. Sorry, I'm going to add that just while you are asking questions and answer. I will add that and I will come back to that. Apologies for that, please. And I mean, those are the hard skills that you need. So, for example, I think to start, you need Excel, intermediate in SQL, and a Power BI or Tableau intermediate. And then you can get a very good job in that. So, but apart from hard skill, your soft skill is quite important, because if you don't have the soft skill, actually, basically, to be honest, many people, anybody, I think anyone really with patience can learn any skill in the hard set, in the hard skill, for example, in SQL. But soft skill is much harder to train. You see people going for leadership training or communication skill training, is because this is actually needed to progress. If you are very good in coding and you can't really relate to your colleagues or to the stakeholders, no one will really want to promote you. That's why you need a very good communication skill. You need to know how to collect data. So how to collect your data. Sometimes you have to collect your data yourself. Sometimes they populate the data for you. It depends on the organization, but it's quite good to know how to collect different data, and how, whether in CSV or in text file or in Excel or in SQL, and how to connect them to your user interface. So problem solving, a problem framing, like you you frame a problem, but you have to give a solution. Like you make an argument and then you make a solution to that. So you say, so when you are giving like an analysis, you say, this is the problem that we have faced, or we have faced in the past, we're still facing, and these are the solutions that I think, or these are what our competitors are facing. So imagine you want to enter into a new market and you have to do your market research, and you have to be sure that before you go into the market, you know your competitors and what they're facing and how you can bypass that. So that's also one. And also, I said working with teams, with your team, that's very important, because actually some people get hired by just the fact that they can work with teams. We have one guy, he doesn't talk to anybody, and I'm being serious. He doesn't talk to anybody. And when he's going to talk, it's going to be like a fight. So he had that communication problem, and nobody talks to him. Like there is no point, because it's going to not be productive. He ended up leaving, and so you just see that you're going from work to work. So you need to know, and you say, oh, it's maybe now it's much easier because you now work in a like a virtual environment, mostly remote, or maybe one day in the office. So, but imagine 5 days, 8 hours every day. It's not going to be that easy in back then. So that's why I think that's why they put working in teams. So, and also partnering with clients. So I've done some consulting work that, although I work for my company, but I'm sent out to work for clients, different clients. So the way you're going to interact with them, you are like an ambassador of your company to them. So the way you may do it at your company will be slightly different. So you should be able to adapt to that company's culture as well. So it's like putting two culture at the same time, because they have their own different culture, different from your own company culture, but it's still going to be similar. Of course, you have to be respectful and polite. So I think that one is general, universally. So how do I get how to get a job for a data analyst? I would say do your research. When you start learning and you're starting to get more knowledge, do your research and see what the market needs, and how do you have to write your CV? How do I to protect my CV to the job market? How is my CV going to be related to? That's how you do your research on, okay, I really love SQL. I want to work in SQL. How should I put my CV that will show my achievements, my strengths, my achievements in SQL, writing queries in SQL? Or if it's visualization you want to go to, how do you how does your CV connect to that market, the demand in the market? So that's it. So other thing is have a profile. For example, this was after trying for a long time, because mine was a very long journey to become a data analyst, because it was like a trial and error and there was no one to guide me. I have to be honest. So that's one of the opportunities that you have here. You have so many mentors that will guide you, that will help you. If you have interview, they would, and you have the job specs, they will look at it and they will help you. Okay, these are the set of questions to prepare for, and you might be asked here, there, and there. So you need that's the advantage. And I found out that even as a data analyst, you need a profile. Before, I thought it was only web developers that need to make a profile of themselves to show your ability. So even if you're new, like I said, we've hired 2 new people, but because they have a profile and the potential employers can see the type of work you've done or you've practiced. And okay, it clears the way for you among others that have no site or no profile at all. It will be interesting. Okay, let's call him for an interview and let's see. And then you can now start defending. For example, one of mine was GitHub. So whenever I make any project, I put it on GitHub. And that's why you have people who can help you to install. If you've never heard about GitHub, it's free to sign up, and they will teach you how to push your code, or if it's SQL code or visualization that you are doing inside the GitHub, like a project. You can also push it there. Let's see an example of mine. So this is so these are some of the projects I've done. For example, some data science and machine learning, some product project. This I'm just giving them so different name when you're making your project, make it a different name. So let's say, for example, this is more a bit advanced in data science that I've done. So, for example, let's say financial investment and data analytic using Python, for example. I mean, this was what I did on my own, and I pushed the code here. So if I want to apply for a job that's related to finance, I will just push their attention to this, and they can see that, okay, this guy knows about what he's talking about, and they'll go through it and see, okay, let's call him for an interview. And it's left for me now to defend everything that is here and everything that I can see, that they can see. So it's one of the ways you can put different projects here. It's not just here. So that's why I say you have good people who can show you your way around. Sorry, I think I have yeah. So, and also another profile that I have is in the Tableau. It shows all, so it shows all visualization that I've built. I mean, I've built more, but only the few that I've put. As you can see, different types. It's free. So when you build your visualization in this place, you can save it into your public, and it's public because employers can see that. Employers can see that as well, and you can see when they view it. For example, you can see that every time it's viewed, you know somebody is viewing your profile, which is very encouraging. So that's, and you will just bring the attention to this, or you put this URL, for example, on your CV, and then we just click on it, and okay, wow, this is what we want. This looks nice, and this is exactly what we are looking for. In and so that is how to get ready for job opportunities. So, and the other thing is practice, practice, practice. So I cannot stress this enough. You need to practice again and again and again and again to stick. So don't wait till after every lecture. You finish this lecture. It looks like it's interesting. You get it, you know it. Okay, I think I know it. And without practicing, you come to the next lecture and again, and you start looking for a job and they ask you a simple question. Okay, how is this? You may be murmuring. So it's good to practice and practice and practice. There's a lot of data sets on the internet, like on Google, I think, which you can see different type of data set and you can practice. And that makes you, I say, practice make perfect. So that's how you can use to gain more knowledge and be more marketable in the already very competitive market as well. So we are here to help you when and where the time is ready. It's maybe I can have like another section of after we all start, maybe another an hour, how to build this um, portfolio website. So, and if you want to go much deeper, you can actually have your own portfolio website in the sense that you have like, you build a proper portfolio website, like using HTML, CSS. There's so many apps that you can use to like a framework that you don't really need to be a developer. You just put your picture, you put what you want, your a summary about yourself, and also your project. You just upload your project into that, and yes, so that is that to get, and also yes, I don't know if there's anything else about how to get a job as a analyst. For me, I think this is the most, and practice interview questions. And before you go for an interview, make sure you see one of the method to put you through, to speak one-on-one with you, to ask you about the interview before you go in and get that confidence in. So that's also is practicing interview questions, maybe with your spouse or with your friend, how to talk, because you think you can talk, but by the time you see like 4 or 5 people in the panel and they start to bombard you, it may look terrifying, but with time goes on, you get that habit. But if you've been practicing, it's not as hard as you think. And this is not to make us relax, but when we're looking for a job, even if you think you are not very qualified for the job or they ask you for so many things, still apply. I've been to a job that I was given an SQL and a Python question to do in front of them, and I did. I got the job. On getting there, they have never used SQL or Python, and they never plan to use it. It was only Excel that they were using. So don't be afraid. I mean, if I had already seen that, and I'm not going to be able to get this job because I don't know SQL very well, or I've never used Python. And I'm being honest, I work with so many people till I left that place. We're all data analysts, and many of them don't know SQL and Python till I left after 2 years. So that's very true. So please, don't let any job requirement or specs makes us feel, oh, it's not for me. Apply, and then you can see, or ask an advice from one of your tutor or your lecturer, and we can tell you, okay, this is maybe you need to apply for this, or this is quite big product. I think I'm supposed to talk for an hour and a half. I think I'm really done. I'm just looking if there's anything I can expand before we go to question. I'm sure we have a lot of questions and answers to compensate for my short presentation. So does anyone